Thank you to Panasonic for sponsoring this week's video. For this week's meal prep, we're going to be using the Flash Express air fryer toaster oven to complete some amazing meals. I wanted to share a few of my favorite features. It has 11 cook settings, including toast, air fry, reheat, bake, broil, dehydrate, roast, and more, as you will see throughout this video. It includes a mesh basket, rack for dehydrating and air frying, an oven rack, and an enamel tray. It is made without PFAs, also known as forever chemicals, which don't break down in the environment. That means no harmful chemicals in your food. You all know that this is so important to me, so I can trust that I have safe, worry-free cooking. And as you will see later in this video, it also is extremely easy to clean, which is super important to a busy mom like me. Monday, we are starting out with some crispy chicken tenders, mini garlic potatoes, and roasted carrots. This is where you're going to see the Fresh Express air fryer toaster oven really shine, because it's amazing at making things super crispy. So this is a really simple method to make some crispy, gluten-free chicken tenders. I just took some chicken tenders, I dipped them into like an egg wash, and then I'm using a very simple pork rind based breading. This is something that I can pick up at my local store, and it makes such a great crunch on the outside of our chicken fingers. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that into the Flash Express air fryer toaster oven. I'm going to go ahead and select the air fry setting. The really great thing is you can also adjust your temperature and time depending on your recipe. The air fryer basket also makes sure that everything top and bottom gets very crispy when you are using that. Now we are moving on to our mini potatoes. I love making these, and I go through spurts of using them a lot and then somehow forget about them and go back to using them again. So I'm just cutting them either in half or in fourths depending on the size of the potato. This was a mixed bag of red potatoes and white potatoes, and then we are going to drizzle them with either olive oil or avocado oil, and we are also going to add in some minced garlic. You could put some little pieces of onion in this, add fresh herbs, just whatever you happen to have on hand or enjoy the taste of, you can mix into this. Once I have the oil drizzled over it, I'm just going to give it a good stir, really coating all of those potatoes so that they get nice and crispy. And we are going to be using the tray that is inserted inside of the oven, and I'm going to dump my potatoes on half of the tray, and then we are going to go ahead and put the carrots together for the other half of the tray. You all already know how much I love sheet pan meals, so this kitchen tool is definitely a big helper for sure. So we're just gonna go ahead and peel up our carrots. This is a good way to use up any carrots that are left over in your refrigerator, possibly from another recipe, and it's just what I prefer over steaming the carrots. I would rather roast them. They just have so much more flavor that way, in my opinion. So I'm just cutting them into nice bite-sized strips, and then I am going to toss them in some olive oil. Now this is where you can either go simple or you can take on a more seasoning mix when it comes to your seasoning. I do a little bit of both. I don't want to over season our food and get too used to the same seasoning mix. So this I'm actually just going to sprinkle with some good mineral salt, and then we are going to go ahead and pop that in after our chicken fingers are done. And don't they look so golden and just yummy? The really great thing about prepping like this and having a tool in your kitchen like this one is that you can reheat your meal preps, and they're going to taste and look exactly the way they did whenever you were prepping them and coming straight out of the oven. So you're going to be able to get that crisp and crunch, something that you simply can't get from a traditional microwave oven. This is just, delicious. Could not stay away from these mini potatoes. My family ate them so quickly, and it's definitely something I need to get on my weekly rotation more often. And it's so simple to put together as you see here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and transfer these things into the storage container to put in the refrigerator and then use later in the week whenever we are eating all of this. Tuesday, we're going to do a sausage and veggie sheet pan meal with garlic bread. And we're gonna start out by chopping up our veggies. I decided to go with a little bit of a different mixture than what I normally do. I got some zucchini, we have some of the mini sweet bell peppers, and we're gonna go ahead and use sausage as our protein. I also have a onion, and then I happen to have about a half head of cauliflower that I wanted to get used up. And honestly, I enjoyed this veggie mixture so much just because it's not one I normally do. It was a great change up. Plus, we're still getting some awesome veggie servings in throughout our week. This is also a great thing to pop into the Flash Express air fryer toaster oven to get nice and crispy again, and it's a good way to reheat those things for lunches because that's often what I do. I had some questions about that recently on a video that everyone was wondering what I do for lunches since I mostly show dinner preps. Well, a lot of times we have leftovers, and that's what we tend to do for lunches is just reheating leftovers, and the best way to do that is to air fry it. So as you are cutting up these veggies, you just want to make sure that they are all around the same size. I know I mentioned this in my last meal prep, but uniformity definitely helps a dish. And then I took the ring sausage. I don't know if there's another name for this. I always call it a ring sausage. That's what I usually write on my grocery list just because it's in a ring, and I'm going to slice this up. This is a turkey sausage, and we're going to just toss that in with the rest of the veggies. And we're also going to do a light drizzle of oil. Again, you could use avocado oil or olive oil in this. And I want to take a moment to say that if there is any recipes, I will leave them linked below. And then also sometimes I do type out the recipe if it's something that is not from a link. So you can check all of that out in the description box below. After I drizzled the veggie mixture with the oil, we're going to go ahead and just put some mineral salt over that, and then we're going to pour everything on to the tray. This is such an easy way to do all of this, and guys, this tray is such a great size. You can make an entire chicken inside of this Flash Express air fryer toaster oven. There's just so much you can do with this. It's so versatile. So for this sheet pan meal, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on to the roaster setting. Next, I'm going to make some gluten-free garlic toast. And so I just have some gluten-free sourdough slices, and I'm going to butter both sides of this. And you could also fresh press garlic instead of using the garlic powder like I'm about to use. And you could put that over the pieces of bread, but I decided to go with the easier route and just sprinkle all of the slices of bread with the garlic powder. Either way, it still tastes good. And this was so simple to make. It got so crunchy. This was the first time I've used a gluten-free sourdough like this, and I was super impressed with it. It's definitely something I want to keep in mind for making garlic toast since our family does eat mostly gluten-free. So after the veggie tray was done, I went ahead and swapped out that tray for the rack, and then I put the slices of the prepared garlic bread or toast, garlic bread, whatever you like to call it. It's going to be toast here in a moment, on to the rack, and we're just going to let that toast up. I did select the toast setting, and it really made a nice golden brown toast, as you will see here in a moment. So once the veggie tray had cooled down, I went ahead and just put this into a storage container, and I can just put it right back on this tray whenever we're ready to reheat it for this meal. And after that, I pulled out my toast and let that cool down. And again, this you can just pop in to reheat. Wednesday, we're going to do salmon bites, pasta salad, and roasted Brussels sprouts. Starting out, we are going to take the salmon and cut it into nice bite-sized cubes. And I would suggest not to go too small and not too big for this. You want a nice uniform size. And so I just sliced it and then diced it, and you're going to put it into a bowl so that you are able to add the dressing to this. I'm going to be using the basket, and that way it really has that air circulation, and it's going to make these salmon bites so crisp and so delicious. Not gonna lie, these were an absolute score in our house. So we're going to add in some soy sauce or some coconut aminos. We have a little bit of oil and a little bit of sesame oil along with some powdered ginger and garlic. And then I'm just gonna take a big spoon and stir all of this together. There is so many great recipes out there for air fried salmon bites like these. They are just delicious, and you can even make sauces to dip them in. But honestly, these were so fantastic on their own. We had no problems just eating these up. And the really great thing is if I didn't have this Flash Express air fryer toaster oven, I would not be able to reheat these to a crisp texture. And I don't even know if I could honestly meal prep salmon bites like this ahead of time without this and still get that great crispy texture. So glad that I was able to do this. I have been wanting to make something like this for quite a while. I also slid the tray in underneath of the basket just to collect any extra drippings that might come off of the salmon. While that was happening, I went ahead and cooked up some gluten-free pasta, and we're just gonna make sort of a meat and cheese pasta salad. Very simple, something that my family really enjoys. So I'm just dicing up some cheddar cheese and just making it nice small bite-sized pieces. Then we are also going to be using a bologna from a local butcher shop that we like to get, and this is a garlic flavored bologna. A lot of people will use hard salami in this place in a salad like this, but I just decided to go ahead and use what we had on hand, and it brought such a great flavor with that garlic flavor in there. Now we are going to go ahead and make sort of a dressing for this. It's going to be olive oil based, and I'm also going to be adding in some roasted red peppers. In a recent video, you all saw me use these in sandwich melts. They are just so good. They add so much flavor to any dish, any recipe. So I just took them out of their jar and sort of chopped the pepper a bit finer to put in with the pasta salad. After a drizzle of olive oil, I'm going to splash in some rice vinegar, one of our favorite vinegars to have on hand for all kinds of cooking. And then I'm going to add some oregano, a little bit of parsley, and one of the absolute keys to making cold salads like this is to allow time for it all to sit and flavors to combine. This is something that's very good to be making ahead of time and let it sit in the refrigerator for a day or two. Once my salmon bites were nice and crispy, oh my goodness, look at them. They are so good. I took them off of the basket and just put them into a storage container to be reheated later in the week. So like I said, to go along with this meal, we're also going to have some roasted Brussels sprouts. This is something I know if you're around a lot, you see me make on the regular. I love these, my family loves these, and they just have so much nutrition and are just so delicious. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut them into about 4 pieces, depending on the size. Again, if it was a smaller Brussels sprout, I would cut it in half, larger into 4 pieces. Then we're going to toss it in oil, and then we're gonna put it onto the tray. And I did make sure to grease my tray before roasting veggies on it, just for cleanup and so that everything gets nice and crunchy. Next, I'm going to just sprinkle it with one of our favorite seasoning mixes, and we're ready to pop it in and roast it. Heading on to Thursday, we're gonna do meatballs, twice baked potatoes, and steamed broccoli. And the steamed broccoli I will make on the night that we eat this. So starting out, I'm going to put my baking potatoes in and bake them for about 40 minutes or so. And then we're gonna let those potatoes completely cool. We'll pick back up on how to make these in just a minute, because we are going to tackle a few other things while they're baking. So while they're baking, we're going to mix up our meatballs. I made a very simple meatball this week. We used some egg, some almond flour as a binder, a little salt, a little pepper, and that was it. Because on the day that we eat this meal, I'll be making my homemade barbecue sauce, which you all have seen me make several times. So if you're looking for that recipe, you can go back to my channel and check out some of my recent videos, because I make it quite often. So we'll just be tossing them in the barbecue sauce on the night we eat these. And I just made them into probably what I would consider medium to large sized meatballs. We're going to have them roasted up on the tray, and then I'm gonna put them into a storage container. And I'm just amazed at how much I'm able to put together this day with the Flash Express air fryer toaster oven, and how many different ways I can use it. It's just so convenient. So back to our potatoes. Like I said, you want these to completely cool, and one of the reasons is you're going to be scooping out the inside of the potato, and if they are really hot, the potato can fall apart a whole lot easier. So if you let them completely cool, even putting them in the refrigerator is great to totally cool down. They just hold together a bit better to scrape out the inside of the potato. So that is the next step. You're just going to take a small spoon and you're going to scrape out a good portion of the inside of the potato. Now I grabbed a pie pan, but you can use anything that helps hold the potatoes kind of facing upward so they don't fall over or slide around. You could even use a small square pan, just anything that works for the amount of potatoes you're making. I made 4, which then made 8 of the halves. And you could also use a 9x13 baking pan if you're using more potatoes. So if you're using, 6 potatoes, you're going to end up with 12 halves, that type of thing. That would probably fit better. And also depends on the size of your potatoes you're starting out with. So once we have the inside of the potatoes scraped out, we're going to add some melted butter, some sour cream, and then whatever seasonings you want to add. It can be a seasoning blend, salt, pepper, whatever you enjoy putting in basically like your mashed potatoes. But you just want to go a little heavier on the sour cream, because the inside of the twice baked potatoes are generally more creamy, a little more creamy than mashed potatoes. So I just used my hand masher. I did add a splash of milk just because I wanted to thin down the mashed potatoes just a bit, and you just want to get a nice consistency. If you really like your mashed potatoes to be really smooth, you could also use an immersion blender for this as well. Next, you're going to take a regular tablespoon and you're going to scoop the mashed up potatoes into your potato skins that you scooped everything out of. These are just so delicious. I can't stress how much we love these. Again, this is kind of like the mini potatoes. I go through spurts of making them. They are so good. You could even add bacon bits or jalapenos to this. I went for a more simpler version this day, but the possibilities are endless, as I often say, on the things you could add to this. I just put some shredded cheese on top, and then we are going to be putting this in on top of the rack and just selecting our time and our temperature to make these. And then whenever they came out of the oven, I just sprinkled them with some green onions. Friday, we're gonna make bacon wrapped tenderloins, coleslaw, and roasted sweet potatoes. These are huge. I'm pretty sure they are yams and just simply were labeled sweet potatoes at my market, but they did the trick. 3 of them made plenty of sweet potatoes. We will have leftovers throughout this week for sure. And I'm just starting out by peeling them and then cutting them into more bite-sized pieces. I like to put onion with my roasted sweet potato. It's just such a great flavor combination, but you could put whatever you like. You could also add fresh herbs into this. Some people even leave the skin on sweet potatoes whenever they roast them, whatever you enjoy the most. And I'm just going to be going simple with this combination. I'm going to be doing the onion, like I said. We're just going to add in some oil and also salt. And again, we're going to be dumping it out on the tray, and we're going to be selecting our temperature and time to roast up the sweet potatoes. Okay, now for the star of this week's meal prep, we are moving on to the bacon wrap pork tenderloin. So I start out by putting yellow mustard on the tenderloin, and then you're going to go ahead and sprinkle / kind of pack on brown sugar. I don't have exact measurements for this because it just depends on the size of your tenderloin. Next, we're gonna get a bit creative and decide how we want to wrap our bacon. So the bacon, you can weave it, you can wrap it around in circles if you want to. There's lots of different ways. Go on Pinterest, look up bacon wrap tenderloin. You will see lots of fun ideas on how to do this. I'm just kind of laying them in a crisscross pattern, and then I'm gonna lay the tenderloin in the middle of it and wrap it up. In the past, I've actually made this with black pepper bacon, and I don't even know if that's something that you can get anywhere. I just know that it's something we can get from some local markets here. But basically, it's like a bacon that has had black pepper put all over the outside of it, and it just is so delicious in this recipe. It brings a whole other level of flavor. So even if you want to experiment with different types of bacon, there's a lot of ways to amp up even more flavor in this recipe. This recipe in particular really helps to bring out some of the features of the Flash Express air fryer toaster oven. And the reason I'm saying that is because you are able to slow roast a piece of meat like this, but then towards the end, you were able to air fry it and bring a crunch to the outside of the meat. And that is something that you can't just do with any old oven that's out there. It's something that really brings out this uniqueness of this kitchen tool, and one reason I really enjoy it. This is a recipe that we enjoy making a lot during the warmer months and having outside as a picnic with cold salads and that sort of thing. It's just screams summertime in my opinion, and you can even pour barbecue sauces over the top. Next, we are going to go ahead and make a simple coleslaw. I'm just going to be taking some avocado mayo and a little squirt or a big squirt of mustard, and then I'm going to add just a bit of liquid stevia just to sweeten it up. Instead of that though, you could do just a sprinkle of sugar, or even a little maple syrup is really good in this as well. And then I just went the easy route and picked up a bag of coleslaw mix from the market and just stirred that in to the sauce. Now, again, going back to the idea, like with the pasta salad, when you have a cold salad, you definitely want to give it time to sit in the refrigerator and to really let those flavors combine. So that's one thing I love about meal prepping ahead of time, is there's a lot of food that actually tastes better if it can sit for a while, allowing flavors to combine and really soak together. And just look at this gorgeous crispy bacon, y'all. I mean, my goodness, I can almost taste this through the screen. It is so delicious. Everyone in our house loves this. This is a go-to meal if we're having guests over as well. Just so yummy. So now we're gonna go ahead and clean up the Panasonic Flash Express air fryer toaster oven. I wanna show you how easy it is to clean. We're just going to take and wipe everything down. I love how all of the trays and baskets and racks come out of the inside, so I can just take it to the sink, wash it up super easily. The material that it's made from on the inside just really allows you to wash things fast and efficiently, and I have everything cleaned up in no time. I hope that this meal prep was inspiring to you for your week of meals this week. Subscribe if you're new, and don't forget to head to the description box below to check out the Flash Express air fryer toaster oven for yourself.